My name is Randy Bigley. Joining me on the podcast this morning is Trooper Mark McLaughlin from the Ohio State Highway Patrol. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. We were getting into summertime now. Of course, you're going to see more people on the road.
Yes.
Hopefully the gas prices will be more people on the road, but definitely you're going to anyways, and see people even if they're traveling in-state. Lots more cars on the road this time of year, right?
There are a lot more cars on the road. And with the summertime coming into full swing, we also expect there's going to be a lot more motorcycles on the roadway.
Sure.
And with the higher gas prices, we're figuring that if you have a motorcycle, you're probably going to want to ride that motorcycle for gas mileage.
Sure, right, yeah.
A couple things I wanted to talk about with the motorcycles being on the roadway and what people can expect to see with these motorcycles. A lot of times guys go out in pairs or groups on their motorcycles, and a lot of people don't understand that two motorcycles are allowed to ride tandem in the same lane of travel.
Oh, okay.
So if you have a group of motorcycles coming at you, they may be two abreast in their lane of travel, and that's perfectly fine. They're allowed to do that.
Okay.
For anybody that is looking to try and ride a motorcycle this summer, just let some of the people know what is required of them. To drive a motorcycle legally in the state of Ohio, you do have to have a motorcycle endorsement, which means you have to go and take a test, take a driver's test, as well as the maneuverability test on a motorcycle to show that you're proficient to operate on the roadways. And once you get that test passed, you have a couple restrictions. For the first year, you're considered a novice rider, which means you have to wear a helmet the whole time.
Okay.
Everybody knows that a helmet is not a mandatory requirement for motorcycle riders. Once they get out of that first year on the roadway, it's their option if they want to wear a helmet. After they get out of that first year, if you don't have to have a helmet on, you still have to have eye protection, which you have to have, goggles or glasses. If you have a windshield on your motorcycle, that does suffice for the driver and eye protection, but if you have a passenger behind you, they still have to have some type of protection for themselves.
Now, as a passenger, are you required to wear a helmet if you're a passenger, or is that optional too?
That's optional.
Okay.
For them as well. If anybody is under the age of 18, they have to wear a helmet all the time, and they cannot have a passenger.
Okay.
What else is there?
Now, do you still see people riding their motorcycles without the proper endorsement on it or proper license?
We have just already this year. There was one officer at our patrol post that pulled somebody over on a motorcycle, and sure enough, they did not have the endorsement to properly ride the bike.
Right.
I've even pulled a couple bikes over already that have registration that expired last fall, but that they didn't renew through the winter time. So make sure if you're getting your bike out, you check the registration and make sure that you've got your registration renewed. I'm not saying that you're going to get a ticket, but there's a good possible chance that if somebody runs the plate and it's expired, you're going to get stopped.
Sure, right, sure.
But so for everybody else on the highways, just keep in mind that the motorcycles are out there. They're not as big as a car, so they might be harder to see. But you definitely have to yield to the motorcycle if they're on the roadway and they have the space that they're allowed to take.
Another thing is that when you got one coming to your left or right and you're going to stop, it's hard to judge sometimes the distance with a motorcycle and this car. It's a little bit
you don't have that size to kind of see it coming at you to see if it's coming fast, if it's coming slow, and even the motorcycle riders, you never want to take for granted that that car coming up to the intersection is seeing you and gonna stop. So if you're a motorcycle rider, you definitely need to ride defensive, and other cars out there, they're not paying attention. They can very easily miss you, pull out in front of you.
Sure.
But another topic we're going to talk about is distracted driving. Distracted driving now is a very big push for law enforcement across the states because of the accidents that are caused by drivers that are being distracted. For somebody that is distracted, it can be very broad, that topic for being a distracted driver. The distraction is defined as any activity that is not necessary to the operation of a vehicle, or it impairs the ability of the operator to drive the vehicle safely. And these includes obviously texting on a cell phone, or even talking on the cell phone. You've got the cell phone in your hand, you're talking on the phone, you may not be able to properly signal a lane change or any other type of thing that you need both hands to do. But for distracted driving, there is a fine, and it's a $100 fine if you're cited for distracted driving. But the state of Ohio does right now have an online course that it's free if they want to take the online course. It takes about an hour to complete the course, and it is interactive. You have to answer some questions along the way. And at the end of that course, there's a certificate that the person can print out. And if they print that certificate out, the court right now is accepting that certificate as the $100 payment.
Oh, wow, okay.
So if somebody does happen to get pulled over and cited for the distracted driver, excuse me, they do have an option that is going to save them $100 if they want to take the online course. It's not mandatory, and I don't know how long the state's going to continue having that course. But as of right now, there is a way that they can go online and do that course.
I think people think of distracted driving, like you said, as phones or whatever, but it can be eating in your car, drinking your coffee in your car.
Right.
Women put makeup on, believe it or not, when they're
Exactly.
driving. It could be any of those things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Or if you have a car with, a lot of younger people. I'm not talking, teenagers, but even early 20s. You get a carload of guys and everybody's talking and joking and laughing, and next thing you know, the guy driving the car, bumping his speed up and up and up, and then all of a sudden, see the blue lights flashing behind him, and then they're on the shoulder wondering, uh-oh, I have no idea how fast I was going.
Right.
And an officer is going to walk up to your vehicle and they'll ask you, hey, did you see how fast you were going? No, I didn't. Okay, well, what had you distracted inside the car that you weren't paying attention? And, talking to everybody in the vehicle is one of those distractions that could easily cause an accident. June the 13th is going to start the new law about carrying a weapon in the state of Ohio. Alright, before, everybody had to go through a background check and then had to go through a course to show that you were proficient at handling the firearm and operating the firearm safely. Then you had to go to the county sheriff's department and fill out the information to receive your concealed carry. Well, like I said, June 13th, it's going to change that, you're not required to have that concealed carry permit any longer. So there's probably going to be more people that's going to opt to carry a weapon nowadays because they don't have to go through the course and go through all that and the background checks. But you have to be over the age of 21. 18 plus applies for the open carry. Everybody in Ohio can open carry a weapon as long as it's visible.
Okay.
All right, but you have to be over 21 to be able to carry it concealed. If you are carrying, you cannot consume alcohol, you cannot be intoxicated, and you cannot be where people are consuming alcohol under a Type D liquor license.
You probably still have to honor businesses that say, hey, we don't want weapons.
Right, that's exactly it. Any business can put a sign on their door saying that they don't want weapons inside the building. Well, then that puts you in a whole different situation. Now you got to go and unload the weapon, safely store it in your vehicle, and do all that stuff. So people do need to realize that if a establishment does not want weapons inside their building, they have the right to say, no, we do not want you bringing your weapon inside the building. So then if you're inside the building and all of a sudden something happens and you have a gun, well, now you've got more problems on your hands.
Sure.
But if you're convicted of a felony or a violence or drug possession, then you can't carry. And it's been that way for years. The convicted felon cannot own a weapon.
Is the CCW still going to be available for people to take that class if they like?
I would imagine that anybody that has been doing those classes will still offer them classes.
Okay,
any type of a class that you get to make you more proficient at anything. Carrying a weapon, handling a weapon is always a good option to follow.
Sure.
A little bit about our patrol post. If anybody has been out past our patrol post, you can clearly see that there's a lot going on out there right now. They've got a big temporary chain link fence up around the building. They've cut down all the trees, and now they're tearing off the awnings. The building is going to be demolished. That building has been sitting there since 1956.
Wow, yeah.
That was when that building was first completed. Prior to that building on State Route 4 north of the city being completed, we were in a 2-story building, a home, that is where Circle K now sits.
Okay.
I don't know how long we were actually in that particular building until they built the new headquarters building out to the north end of the city. But they are going to tear it down, and once it's torn down, they're going to rebuild in the exact same spot.
Okay, yeah.
But the new building is going to be a single level structure. The one we have right now is technically a split level, because when you walk in the front door, you're on a landing, so you either go upstairs or downstairs.
Okay, yeah.
But the new building's going to be, as soon as you walk into the building, you're on one solid floor there.
Okay.
The time frame for that is anybody's guess. You know, with construction
Yeah.
and prices and everything that's going on, we've already been set back a few times on the demolishing the building. So
Sure,
the
right.
building of it, who knows what kind of snags they're going to come into.
Yeah, you don't know these with some of the surplus, some of the supplies not being available, and all that.
Right.
And you guys are what? You guys have moved temporarily. You're not very far away, are you?
No, actually, we were lucky enough to be able to rent the old Checkmate building, which
Okay.
is directly north of our property.
Yeah.
So we're still going to basically the same location to handle our business, just in a different building. We
Okay.
still have our the garages out back is where they work on all of our radio equipment and our cars and stuff like that. So all that operation is still the same place, but we're
Okay.
just next door. Which the building next door is certainly different. It's kind of a maze to walk around and find out where you want to go and where you
Sure.
need to be. But the new building, it should be done sometime in 2023, but like I say, I don't know what the
Right.
date's gonna be on that. It's, any construction project is always subject to setbacks.
Exactly.
And the last thing I wanna touch on is the fact that we are hiring. The Ohio State Highway Patrol is accepting applications. For somebody that's interested in law enforcement, they have to go through our patrol academy in Columbus. It's a 6-month academy training. During that academy training, you are paid, you are fed, and you are housed. Every weekend, you do get your liberty to go home, but through the academy, there's not much liberty on the weekends. There's studying to do, there's
Sure.
notes to take, and there's a lot of stuff you need to prepare for the next week. Anybody that is interested, we accept applicants that are between the ages of 21 and 35. You can apply if you are not 21 and get a seat in the academy, but you have to be 21 before graduation.
Okay.
And the same thing, you have to be graduated the academy while you're still 34. If you're 35 and up, you're too old to go
Yeah.
through our academy.
Okay.
But,
That's because of retirement, I think, isn't it? This one.
it would be for retirement,
Yeah,
because if you start at 30, you don't have much time to put in until you're going to be gone.
Right.
But some of our requirements, you have to possess a valid license. Obviously, they're expecting that you're going to be able to
Sure.
drive a car around the state of Ohio, so you have to
Sure.
have a valid license. You have to have a high school diploma or a GED, as long as you have graduated from your high school or got your GED. And like I said, the academy, when you attend the academy, you are paid, and it's over $20 an hour right now while you're a cadet in the academy.
Okay.
And then once you've graduated the academy, you have the ability to move anywhere around the state. Once you get your posting out of the academy, you kind of have a choice of where you want to go, but it all depends on the openings around the state. So somebody from Bucyrus might not necessarily get to come right back to Bucyrus out of the academy, but once you get off your probationary period, you have the ability to put a transfer into any of the posts around the state of Ohio. We've got 91 of them, so take your pick, anywhere
Okay.
around the state. And then once you're with the Highway Patrol, we have different specialty positions that anybody can get into. We have our canine handlers that do all the bomb sniffing and drug sniffing. A lot of those guys will go to local schools. The schools will bring them in to do just a walk-through sniff of the building to make sure that nobody has anything they're not supposed to in their wall lockers. We have our SRT team, which is our special response team, in essence our SWAT team, and that's a full-time position with those guys, and they're the ones that go to any incidences where there's an active shooter or something along those lines, hostage situations, anything like that. We have investigations that strictly are just investigators. For our District 2 investigators, we have the prisons over in Mansfield. We've got prisons down in Marion that they have to attend to. Anything that goes on inside the prison whether it be an assault or if drugs were conveyed into the facility. Those officers do the investigations on all of that. And then we also have our LCS section, which is our license and commercial standards. Those are the guys that deal with inspecting the school buses. In the state of Ohio, every school bus in the state of Ohio has to be inspected once a year, annually, to make sure that the buses are safe. And the guys with our LCS sections, that's what they are tasked to do. And then they deal with the school buses, any type of commercial truck. You know, those guys have a scales team that runs around with portable scales, and they can weigh trucks at any location in the state. So there's a lot of opportunity for, if you have interest in commercial activities, you can get into these specialty positions and deal with big trucks all the time. We have an aviation section. If you're already a pilot, that's great. Then, you know, once you get on with the patrol, you can apply to get into our aviation section. I can't tell you how many officers we have right now in the aviation section, but they handle flights around the entire state. And what they do is we have airspeed zones marked out on highways and on state routes, and it's just measured time over distance. They watch the cars as they enter the zone. Like I said, it's marked out every quarter, and they just have a stopwatch. They time it from one quarter to the next quarter, the next quarter, the next.
Yeah.
So it's pretty simple what the pilots do. Also with aviation, they do assist with other departments and agencies with if they're trying to track vehicles that are being stolen. If they're somebody got out of a car and ran into the woods, our aviation section can come out, and they have the night vision that they can, you know, look for the heat signature in the woods and follow all that. We have a motorcycle unit. Back when the patrol started in 1933, they were all motorcycles. Shortly after that, then they started going to automobiles, and it's been probably almost 10 years or more that they opened the motorcycle section back up. So if you're a motorcycle enthusiast, once you get on with the highway patrol, you'll have the same opportunity to apply to get into the motorcycle unit and drive one of our motorcycles around.
Nice, yeah.
We have crash investigations and crash reconstructionists that are strictly dealing with crashes. They are still, you know, a trooper that goes out and can work the road, but their specialty is going to handle crashes that are a fatal crash, multi-vehicle crashes, something that is going to take a lot of investigation. They have all the tools to be able to map that out and give a very scaled drawing and diagram of the scene, where the evidence landed, where these pieces went. Once the trooper has time, they can apply to be an instructor at the academy as well. If somebody, you know, if their passion is to, you know, help others learn and present materials, you know, they can apply to get down to the academy as an instructor. And then, you know, anything else that somebody wants to do with the patrol, you know, the patrol has suggestions that, you know, as an officer, I can suggest something down to the colonel's office that, hey, this is a good idea, maybe something we can look into. So if somebody wants to become a trooper, there are numerous avenues that they can go once they get onto the highway patrol.
Very nice. So lots of great information today, Trooper Henderson and or Trooper McLaughlin. Sorry, got 3 and 5 names. Trooper McLaughlin.
Yes.
Yes, great, great information today, and thank you. And be careful out there driving. It's summertime. Memorial Day weekend's coming up. I know that's a big time for people to be out.
Yep. The highways are going to be full this weekend. There's no doubt.
Just be careful out there. Right?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.